Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of my new podcast, Beer Life. With this project, I want to open the public's eyes to the beer world. We have to appreciate beers for what they are and represent, which is far more than an alcoholic drink. Today, we will be talking about how finishing a beer batch is connected to the feelings and traditions that humanity has. I will be comparing these in different contexts and even times. So, sit tight and get a beer, only beer over 21, to learn more about men's real best friend. If you know a little about beers, you should know that in 2022, the craft beer business only took about 0.1% of the US beer market according to the National Beer Association. Here, you can get a grasp of the huge difference between craft beer and industrial beer businesses. But this difference is not only present in production, it is also noticeable in the connection with beer. My theory was that while the industrial side sees beer as profit and business growth, the craft beer side experienced beer with a much more profound sense. To understand this, I went to experience the finish of a batch in an industrial and craft brewery. First, I went to visit a craft beer business. I was running a little late, so when I arrived at the place, they were already preparing everything to bottle and finish the batch. As soon as I arrived, the first thing I noticed was that everyone was extremely nervous and expectant. And all this heavy environment instantly vanished when the owner took the first sip of the newly formulated Irish ale and smiled. Then I saw how all the beer masters got together to drink a full pint of their baby, as they called this newly formulated beer. And they told me that this is so important for them that even one time one of the beer masters was away for a trip and one batch was done. So they jumped into a Zoom and they still get the toast because this is kind of a ritual for them. So here I really understood that beer means much more than money to these people. In many cases, the bar was the only income of the persons that worked there, but the desire to get a good batch went much further. After this, a couple weeks later, I went to an industrial beer brewery where I saw the gigantic tanks and massive carriers that moved everything as fast as possible. It all happened so fast that I just realized everything was done, bottled, and ready to ship when it was announced in the speakers something like, "Congratulations for another successful batch. We are more than ahead of the production, and this is all thanks to all the hard work each one of you puts in." And then that was it. Everyone got back to their work. I heard some laughs at the back and one or two smiles. Apart from that, the reaction was mainly neutral. The only kind of connection I found there was the reaction of my contact, who was one of the head managers of the place, who was very happy due to this increase in production and the possible benefits that he could get from this, like a raise, more vacation, or other compensations. I went online and found that industrial breweries have a connection with beer, or at least they try to give an image that they have this connection and that beer means more than money. And personally, I am no one to doubt it. But the difference I found in their reactions and practices to celebrate the creation of beer were simply immense. Here, I understood that beer didn't mean the same in different scales, but I wanted to know why. So I went to research and reflect on what I saw. After a couple days, I concluded that finishing a good batch means more depending on the skill put into it, the freedom of the author, and the extent to which the brewer depends on the brew. The first difference that I saw between these two was the skill it is required to get a good batch. In industrial breweries, everything is very standardized and mechanized and controlled to maximize efficiency and profits. But this removes the connection I saw the brewmasters had in the craft beer bar. In this place, they all knew a lot about beer. I would say even more than the industrial people. But brewing is such a delicate process that a single particle can contaminate the fermentation or maceration of a whole batch and ruin its flavor, color, and smell. So getting a good batch in a not 100% controlled environment is a show of skills that's really overseen. A similar situation could be found in ancient Egypt. I'm talking about pharaohs and pyramids, that Egypt. There, it was much harder to get grapes than wheat, and wine needed a much longer fermentation and maceration than beer, which is introduced to a higher percentage of failure. And this difficulty in getting everything right made wine the drink of pharaohs, while beer was left for lower classes. However, both were used for the same purpose, showing status and in celebrations. So I saw that the difference in skill and probability of failure gives a huge sense of achievement that industrial breweries lack. Furthermore, the freedom of the author when making the beer can create a huge connection with the beer prepared. Again, here in industrial breweries, everything is so controlled that the for change is small or non existent. Whenever there is a new beer created, it really has a similar DNA, or the taste difference is so imperceptible that the general public may think that it is just another marketing strategy. While craft beer businesses have to build their beers from scratch, as their only chance for survival is to make something different and innovative. They have to put their self on their products to get something out of the 0.1% of their market share. This is why many times you can find special occasion beers like holiday beers or beers with fruits or other local products. So they have to create an experience really to attract people. And all of this makes them connect to their product, which creates rituals like giving a toast to every finished batch to celebrate their success and their new baby, as the beer masters call it. Then I went on to look at the aspect that, in my opinion, is the most influential one. People can feel connected, identified, and even reassured by their skills, but they will never feel as connected to something as if their survival depends on it. Craft beer breweries are much more affected if one batch goes wrong compared to industrial breweries. Even with the proportional difference in loss, the economic cushion of industrial international breweries is incomparable with the one of a family owned bar, for example. This takes much more weight when we realize that craft beer businesses normally have less control, mainly because of the sophisticated and expensive system of industrial breweries. So the probability of getting a good batch is much lower, which can take craft beer bars too close. A job that depends on hoping that no particle contaminates your hard work must be very stressful. But this goes back to the fathers of beer, the Middle Age Europe monks. They perfectionated the art of beer with precarious materials and poor sanitation. But commonly, the survival of the monastery depended on the production and sale of the beer. The monks used it as part of their diet, as beer shares all of its ingredients with bread. Especially during the Dark Ages when times were difficult and sicknesses were abundant, the monks depended on the beer batches. Moreover, a worldwide festival was created to celebrate a successful harvest that will assure the survival of the towns through the winter, and we now call it Oktoberfest. So beer batches here represent a huge joy and thankfulness of the harvest, that the harvest was prosperous, and at least at the time, it meant that they would live to see another spring. So, understanding the importance of beer to humanity, I saw that these three main topics popped out, which dictated the importance that people would give to a good batch of beer. Arguably, feeling connection, reassurance, and survival are three of the main reasons to give importance to any aspect of our lives. But it is incredibly impressive that this rule of thumb has kept through eras of humanity. I really hope that this opened your eyes to new aspects of the beer humanity relationship. I would have wished to include interviews of craft and industrial beer businesses when their batch had gone wrong. But as you will understand, when you just lost a whole bunch of money, the last thing you want to do is talk about it. Well, that was it for today. Hope you really like it. And please comment below on what surprised you the most about today's topic and any suggestions for future topics.